Inherited evil. Well, here we are, I muttered, gravel crunching under my feet as I stared up at the imposing facade. Ivy crawled over weathered stone, the arched windows dark and empty like sightless eyes. Grandmother's house. Beside me, my younger sister Livy shivered. It looks so creepy and old. Are you sure we have to stay here? I squeezed her shoulder reassuringly. Just for the summer, until the estate is settled. Then we can sell this big dreary place. I tried to keep my tone confident, but the truth was I shared Livy's unease. Our grandmother had been eccentric in life, and her will dictated we live out the season in her mansion before inheriting. But grandmother also dabbled in the dark arts, according to hushed family lore. And there was a sinister pall over this house, as if it had soaked up her malevolence. Still, we had no choice. Together Livy and I mounted the imposing front steps, glancing anxiously behind as the door creaked open. Cobwebs stirred in the musty air. Strange symbols decorated the walls, and the shadows swallowed us as we descended into the belly of the house. That first night, I barely slept. The old mansion groaned and settled around me. Darkness seemed to press through feeble light. But it was more than creaks and shadows spooking me. There was an unseen presence, a lingering murk I could feel in my bones. To maintain a facade of normalcy, I urged Livy to pick a bedroom and unpack. But each night, she ended up crawling in with me, unable to bear the oppressive solitude. The scratching noises from within the walls, the hissing pipes that almost sounded like whispers. During the day, we explored the grounds under bright sun, breathing easier. The overgrown garden still showed signs of past beauty, and sculptures peered from the underbrush in fanciful shapes both familiar and strange. But at night, the estate seemed less and less a charming inheritance and more a hellish trap. It started with missing objects. Harmless at first, a misplaced hairbrush or vanished book. But soon the occurrences grew more disturbing. I noticed Livy's favorite sweater disappeared, only to reappear later slashed to ribbons inside her closet. Jewelry went missing, turning up in weird places around the mansion. Our candles would be mysteriously arranged in rituals patterns overnight. Livy's fear increased, and even I could no longer brush off the happenings as mere coincidence. We begged our lawyer to let us leave early, but he insisted we honor the will's terms. Grandmother wanted us to take our rightful place here, after all. Desperate, I decided to research the mansion's past, seeking clues to the malevolent presence shadowing us. In a moldy attic trunk, I found old diaries and documents revealing the truth of my family's heritage. Generations ago, the first of my ancestors to own this house had been accused of witchcraft. Though she avoided punishment by the townsfolk back then, the diaries showed her occult fixation in disturbing detail. She described sadistic rituals, channeling dark forces, and bonding her soul to this estate. As I read her incantations, the hairs on my neck prickled. Her bitter rage seemed to reach across centuries, striking a buried familiar chord within me. This was the origin of the toxic cloud oppressing our family. But it ran deeper still. The diaries hinted at some eldritch evil dwelling near the mansion that my ancestor had tapped into, an ancient, formless thing she worshipped and fed with blood. Its presence poisoned the land and corrupted subsequent generations. We were all tangled in its web, traced back to that first witch who called the primordial darkness forth. We had demon blood. Sickened, I hid the diaries, not wanting Livy exposed to their vile secrets. But it was too late to pretend ignorance. I had to find a way to cleanse our ancestral sin before it consumed us completely. My chance came on the summer solstice according to the diaries, a night of ritual significance. As Livy slept, I gathered the materials specified in the crumbling pages. Incantations I did not understand but must recite perfectly. Trembling, I ventured into the forest's heart at the witching hour. There, by moonlight, I performed the ritual meant to close the gate she had opened so long ago and exorcise the lurking evil. Howling wind whipped my cloak as I screamed the phrases, blood dripping from my palms into the earth. The ground rumbled, trees quaking. An acrid smell filled the air, the foul breath of something ancient and putrid exhaling up from yawning soil. But I did not stop. Even as a shadow fell over me, even as inhuman screams of thwarted rage shook the heavens, I persisted. I had to seal the breach, end this curse. For Livy's sake. Finally, it was done. I swayed, drained, as midnight told. The presence that had haunted us retreated, its unholy birthing aborted. The evil was contained once more beneath the earth. I stumbled back to the mansion, praying Livy slept through the chaos. But she was awake, smiling. "It feels lighter now," she said simply. And she was right, the oppression had lifted. Our home was merely old and drafty again, no longer haunted. Yet as we embraced, I sensed a subtle change in the air. A charge, like the pause between lightning and thunder. Our family's infernal past was buried, but a darker lineage remained in our blood, waiting to emerge. The next weeks were the happiest we had ever known. With the curse apparently ended, we enjoyed the estate anew. We threw open windows to freshen the stagnant halls, cleaned every corner, even hosted friends over. The past was behind us at last. Until late one night, an urgent rap came at my chamber door. I opened it to see Livy wild-eyed, her nightgown stained dark. "Help me," she gasped before collapsing. Horror struck me as I saw the blood trickling from her palms. Frantically I searched her room for razor blades, broken glass, anything she could have used to wound herself. But found nothing. Dread congealing inside me, I carried Livy to bed. As I washed the blood from her hands, the gashes seemed to form letters, spelling out arcane words in a language I did not know but whose meaning chilled me to the bone. Over the next nights, Livy's episodes grew worse. She complained of vivid nightmares and sleepwalking. I'd find her wandering the grounds at odd hours, bare feet cut and muddy. Always clutching occult symbols, scribbling madly in languages long dead. The innocent girl I knew was slipping away, replaced by something other. I desperately sought medical advice, but doctors merely gave useless tonics to sedate her. They had not seen what I glimpsed in her blackening soul. The whispers from beyond my sister now answered. Whatever evil had awakened in our blood, Livy had less defense against its call. Each night it drew her deeper under its thrall, closer toward ritual and offering. If I did not act fast, my beloved sister would be consumed. So once more, I turned to the cobwebbed pages of my ancestors' diaries, seeking an answer. And found the invocation for banishing the demonic from a human vessel. Again my soul recoiled, not wanting to believe such darkness dwelled in sweet Livy. But when I caught her poised to slit a lamb's throat above pagan symbols streaked in blood, her eyes empty of all but malice, I knew she was lost. To bring Livy back, I must drive the evil out. That night, I restrained her feebly struggling form and uttered the dreaded words. The air thrashed as if battered by unseen wings. My sister's body contorted, mouth stretching impossibly wide as a howl unlike any human sound erupted forth. The glass panes of the ritual chamber shattered. Cracks split the stone walls. But I forced myself to continue the incantation, my voice raw and breaking. Finally, as the first rays of dawn washed the room in gold, Livy collapsed limply. I cradled her, weeping and calling her name, praying I had not sacrificed her spirit to free her body. With a small moan, her eyes opened, clear and untainted once more, filled with the innocence I thought destroyed. "Brother," she whispered hoarsely before embracing me tight. I nearly wept in relief. But I could not shake the lingering unease, the questions left unanswered. We might have briefly pushed back the darkness, but not for long. It coursed too strongly through our bloodline. The next day, Livy remembered nothing of the chilling episodes. When she asked timidly why the manor was in shambles, I forced a smile. Just an accident. We should leave this place. Soon we had packed our meager belongings and boarded up the mansion. Neither of us spoke as it receded down the drive, but Livy clutched my arm until her knuckles whitened. It was over. We were free. I pray Livy never learns the truth stalking our family. For now, her soul remains untainted. As for myself, I must constantly guard against the stirrings of inherited evil. But our demons are far from banished. They lurk, patiently waiting to rise again in darkness. Perhaps, in time, Livy too will hear their sinister call. Though we may flee, our blood retains the taint. Its vile roots run too deep to ever fully sever. We can only resist, cling to the light, and pray this generational curse dies with us. But in my most hollow midnight moments, I hear my grandmother cackling. Our destinies are sealed, she whispers. One day, you will embrace the evil in your veins.